Welcome to Wath-upon-Dearne, first recorded in the Domesday Book with 2,700 acres of land. The word Wath is thought to mean ford, and Dearne is thought to derive from the 7th century word meaning hidden river, as in a river in a valley. It was once described as the queen of villages. Coal mining began in the 1600s, and with a population of around 11,000 today, Wath has a thriving and living community for all to enjoy. It also has a lot of heritage to explore as well. So come with me as we find out some of its most interesting history as we go for a wander around Wath. Built by 1770, Wath Hall was originally a private residence. It's built in neoclassical style, as evidenced by the Ionic columns here and in the entrance. It was built out of brick with cement on the outside. It was also built upon the house of the Fleming family, the remains of which can be seen in the cellar. Let's go take a look, shall we? The original house that Wath Hall was built upon was constructed in the 1300s for the Fleming family. Rainer Fleming, who was lord of the manor for Wath, was also the founder of Kirklees Abbey in 1155. In 1736, 4 buildings that comprised the old residence stood where the hall is today. The evidence of these buildings is still remaining here, as you can see the exposed brick. But there's also the strong room down here as well. A strong room is a place dedicated to protecting vital items from fire and theft. This strong room we're in right now was once a wine cellar, but was converted in October 1939 to protect important council documents during the Second World War. Other rooms down here served different purposes, such as housing medical aid. It became a private residence from 1770, changing hands often. In the late 1700s, it belonged to a doctor, William Kay. It then became a school under James Barton in the mid-1800s. It was then owned by Captain William Earnshaw in the late 1800s, and the final owner was Frederick Johnson, a wine merchant, while the local Earl Fitzwilliam was lord of the manor. It was then the town hall from 1892. It was bought for £2,500, which in today's money would equal about £205,000. From 1894, Wath became an urban district with Wath Hall as its headquarters. Wath grew quite rapidly in the 1800s, particularly thanks to the opening of Wath Main Colliery, which sank its first 2 shafts in 1872. However, Wath was also still farming, and was farming things such as turnips, potatoes and oats. Wath had a population in 1861 of around 1,690. By 1871, it was over 2,020. Wath was growing, as was Wath Hall. A council chamber was installed in 1926 on the first floor, and a soup kitchen was also used here during the 1926 general strike. What was the cottage for the servants was built over in the 1960s, and now it serves as offices to rent. It stopped being a town hall from 1974, and was still used by the council until 2011. This Grade 2 listed Georgian mansion was then saved by the people of Wath, who raised the money, and in July 2020 it was bought by the Wath Hall Preservation Society Limited. However, this whole area is a paragon of history, all within about a 2-minute walk. Just next to Wath Hall, there is this, the Wath War Memorial. Unveiled on the 25th of September 1921, this is dedicated to the 254 men from Wath who gave their lives fighting in the First World War, including 2 from the Yorkshire Regiment. These were Private Thomas Coggan and Private Herbert Robinson. Then, an additional part was added much later on, dedicated to the 65 men from Wath who died serving in the Second World War, the youngest of which was Bernard Harding, aged only 18. Then, right next to Wath Hall, there's this, the All Saints Parish Church, a Grade 1 listed building. This Saxon church gained the addition of a Norman north aisle by 1150, and then a tower and an arch were added by 1175. By 1320, the early English south aisle and chancel arch had been added. By 1396, the top story of the tower. The first clock and the spire were installed in 1714, and then, after a restoration in 1868, the organ chamber was added. The church is renowned for its beauty both inside and out, but it was all nearly lost. There was a fire in 1917, but thankfully restoration followed in 1920. Restoration continued throughout most of the 20th century, ending in 1998. Churches are fantastic and integral parts of the community, not just in our lives, but also in the history of the places they're situated in as well. Just across the road, there's also another church too. The Wath and West Melton Methodist Church was formed on Advent Sunday 2018, when Wath Trinity Methodist Church and Princess Street Methodist Church joined together. This church was built in 1893 and opened for services the next year. The Reverend George Kenyon laid the foundation stone. Some of the heritage in Wath, however, is hidden. Sometimes, though, history survives through place names. Take here, for example, where we are now, Newhill Park. This was once the site of Newhill Hall. Built in 1785 by John Payne, Newhill Hall was classical in style and used dressed local stone, designed by Doncaster architect William Lindley. John Payne was a Quaker, a farmer, and a supporter of the ideals and concepts of the French Revolution and the American colonists, for he was politically liberal. The Payne family had lived in Yorkshire since 1651. John Payne died in 1845 and passed the hall to his son, Dr. Henry Payne. It stayed with the Payne family until 1944, with the death of a certain Richard Payne. In 1953, Newhill Hall was demolished owing to subsidence. However, there is still some surviving architecture to tell the Payne's family history here. This is the Newhill Tomb, or as it's also known, the Payne Mausoleum. It was built in 1834 for John Payne's wife, Sarah. It's made out of dressed sandstone with an ashlar sandstone roof. Now, mausoleums are a memorial dating back to 350 BC, and it was where Egyptian kings would have been entombed. Now, here in Wath, we have the Payne family memorialised eternally in one of the town's most unique heritage sites. However, Wath's history is not just confined to the places that we visited today. Neither is Wath's history just confined to industrial or aristocratic. There are a lot of stories here waiting to be discovered, waiting for you.